Hey everyone, welcome to RevTrevNFL. If you haven't noticed, I've got this really amazing person to my right, or I don't know whether your screen goes. Matt Ramage is live in the build, well, not in the building, in the internet. Matt, welcome to the podcast, the video, whatever this is. Thank you so much for coming. How are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. Thanks for inviting me. It's always nice to jump on a good live stream every now and again instead of my own.
Well, you do a good job. I think I really appreciate your work. And you pump out a ton of content. A lot of it is hilarious. A lot of it's insightful. And a lot of it is just like, I'm just going to share my opinion. I love it. And you do all kinds of cool ones. And so I really appreciate how much you bring to the Packer community. So Matt, I'm not saying this because you're on the show, but I just want to sincerely say from one Packers fan to another, I appreciate all your hard work.
I appreciate that. It means a lot, for real.
Yeah. And this season's been such a fun season for us, right? Like, honestly, walking into the season, we're sitting here and we're going, I'm not sure how this team's going to be. We're hoping it's going to be good. And then all of a sudden to have this season like we did. And really, for me, it exceeded my expectations. I did not think we were going to be this good. How were you feeling walking into this season and then just seeing how it performed and how they did? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's like coming into this season, that's what we talked about all last offseason, is that this was going to be a fun season. Because you're going to see Jordan Love grow, like hopefully good, but like we knew that there going to be ups and downs. Young receiving group, like this whole Packers offense. I said before that last season, it's going to be a fun season to watch, and it was. Like they had their ups and they had their downs. Like in the middle, they had some pretty severe downs there, but to finish off like how they did, I didn't expect that. Like people are talking about because I have high expectations this year. People are like, you always said, but last year I didn't. I never talked about the Packers going to Super Bowl into this last season. I thought it was going to be a fun time watching his offense grow. Not just the offense, but Matt LaFleur, how he coaches Jordan Love. You know, everyone's saying, you know, if it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers, he's not this or that. So I knew that it was going to be fun, and it didn't disappoint. It was an exciting season, like on a rebuild type year, and to have that much excitement and winning a playoff game is just insane.
Absolutely. And we didn't know if Jordan Love was going to be able to handle the pressure, live up to the hype. And we all know that Matt, we all know that Jordan Love, like this was a lot of pressure on him. And to see him progress and really excel, like honestly, like I thought he was going to be good. I didn't think he was going to be this good, right? And so watching him develop, I just thought was a real treat as a Packers fan. And I know that the division and the league is really angry at us. It's like, yeah, we had a rough 5 weeks.
Yeah, we were stressing there.
We were, and the fan base was going nuts. Like, I know that every fan base has like toxic people, right? But and really like I call them Eeyores. They're always negative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we suck. You know, it's like, come on. Like I'm more of like, I'm a little bit more like a Tigger kind of guy. Like I'm bouncing and I'm pumped and I'm looking forward to, even if I'm nervous, like this year I was really nervous, and I understand that there was a lot of negativity. Like I'm in a bunch of Packers fan groups, and like people are like, Jordan Love's going to suck. He was never good in college. He's not accurate. He can't throw the deep ball. And I understand, like, and they're not trying to, I think some are trying to be negative, but some are just like trying to be realistic. How was your response to people that were so negative before we actually got to see him play and really perform?
See, some people like there's a difference. There's haters, like doesn't matter what happens, they're gonna hate, they're negative, like you say, no matter what. And there's some people who like don't agree, but if they're like, hey, this is why I don't think he's gonna be good. Like I respect that. Like if you're not always negative, but this is the one thing you are. But like if you're negative about everything, then I really don't care about your opinion all that much because
Right.
you're just always negative about, like, even if Jordan Love has a good game or this player, that player has a good game, you still find a way. Well, yeah, well, they should have done this or they could have done that. Then that's just negative people. But like people who didn't believe in Jordan Love right away, I don't really call them all like haters or negative. If they just, because there's no reason to like really think that he's going to do as good as he did. I mean, maybe he's not surprised, maybe the people inside that locker room, but no one else really expected him to come on ball. I always thought he was going to be good because I trust the Packers, not because like I'm some great scout. I watched a few plays in preseason, but because like what do we know? But like the fact that they were just okay with Rodgers walking, and I knew that they had to feel some type of way about Jordan. So, but I expect him to have some slumps. But like you say, he finished it off so strong that I only that there's a reason in the world for anyone to be stressed out about quarterback.
Right. Yeah, and what I did like about it too was like even in those 5 weeks that was rough, Matt, I just kind of think about it as Matt LaFleur never wavered whether he was going to be the starting quarterback or not. It's like, this is our guy. We put all the time in. We've seen him in practice, and he's been in the film rooms, and he's like, this is our guy. Like I saw a lot of the fan base saying, hey, maybe it's time to move to Clifford, and I still would be interested to see how Clifford plays. I think he's going to be a good quarterback as well, but only based on injury, right? So Matt LaFleur was just like, he's our guy, and I think that just speaks to how much they believed in his talent.
Yeah, I think that like seeing it, because like even Aaron Jones, I think there was another, I think might have been Dobbs early on in the preseason was saying Jordan Love is that dude. He's making these plays. So like I feel like they were probably really confident. They've been watching them progress. I mean, the younger ones, they just got there, but I think that they just trust him. Like, yeah, this ain't gonna be a big thing. So like people on the outside, especially like with the media, a lot of like Matt LaFleur said, I forget how he worded it, but he said don't have crazy expectations for Jordan Love. So the guys like Cowherd and all these guys are like, oh, Matt LaFleur doesn't trust him. So like there's like a big media thing, because I feel like people don't want the Packers to be good. They're sick of them. They don't want the Packers to have another quarterback. They want the Packers to suck and they can just forget that Green Bay even exists. But the Packers just they know how to grow quarterbacks. They just draft them, get them, let them sit, and watch them ball out. And I'm stoked about this offense.
Totally. And so a couple things, Matt, as you're talking, it reminded me. So I just saw an interview by Tom Brady, and he was actually talking about how he doesn't like how people draft quarterbacks, throw them into the fire. They're usually on bad teams, and they don't develop. And he's like, that's not the best way. He sat behind. Mahomes sat behind. Jordan Love has sat behind, and he's like, those quarterbacks seem to do better than just like the Bryce Youngs of the world and saying, here you go, or Justin Fields, for example, behind an awful offensive line, right? Like he's running for his life, even though he's really good at running. I just think that was an interesting comment by Tom Brady, that there's something to be said about these teams that allow their quarterbacks to kind of learn, and understand the system.
I think that it's like huge. Like the Packers have shown that you can have a guy just sit there and learn. And when he does go out there, there's no like crazy off year. Like even Peyton Manning, as good as he was, his first year was horrible. And then he probably needed to have that year, because I feel like some quarterbacks are meant to just be thrown in, like a Peyton Manning type guy. Like I'm not surprised like that they want to throw him in, but not every quarterback. I think it's to your benefit, especially if you have a veteran who's there. Like, just let the quarterbacks, you don't have to rush to get them in there. Like, let them sit for a year and be in the meetings without the pressure of playing, and learning how that veteran practices, how he does meetings, learn all the little stuff that they don't know. And it's working in Green Bay. I'm telling you, I think all the other fan bases, they if they're not planning it, like, they need to like switch up their stuff, because just drafting quarterbacks, unless it's like this quarterback is meant to be, like, there's a few quarterbacks like this dude is that dude, then I could see like you're gonna try to build around him. But even then, like, if you get your quarterback murdered in his first year, like look at RG3 early on in his career. I mean, that had a lot more to do with just throwing him in there, but leaving him in there after he's hurt. But I feel like in a quarterback's first year, you could damage him if you got like a weak offensive line. He's just getting murdered back there. I think it's hard to learn. I think in those situations, they'd be better off just sitting here, build up the team around them, and let some veteran get murdered. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so, I've heard so many other fans are like, they're so angry, they're swearing, and they're like, how does Green Bay do this? And I'm like, well, I don't know, just watch what we do and do. Like, I don't know. It's not rocket science here. But anyways, so today, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on, not only to connect, but I wanted to talk about next year. And, we talked a little bit about this year and just some of the expectations, but you've been bold in your predictions, and you're already declaring. I mean, we're in middle of February 2024. Super Bowls just ended, and you're declaring that our Packers, and for the record, I hope you're right, Matt. Honestly, I hope you're right. But you're saying that our Packers are going to win the Super Bowl next year. And I'm just thinking, wow, I mean, that takes some gonads, Matt, to do that. But I wanted to hear kind of why you think why would you make that prediction so early on that we're going to make the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, right? You're not saying we're just going to make it. We're going to win it. So
win the whole thing.
I kind of want to hear your thought process, because I'm on the other side where I'm like, I feel like I'm super passionate. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm all in. I'm a diehard Packers fan for over 30 years, just like you, and the whole thing. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I feel like that's a big jump for me in February. So I wanted to bring you on, and I would love to hear it, because I hope you're right.
Well, like, a lot of people think that I say the Packers are going to win a Super Bowl every year. And I might, like, going into preseason, get excited and be like, this is a Super Bowl team. But a lot of those Aaron Rodgers teams were good enough to win a Super Bowl. But like last year, I didn't say this at all. But I do feel like the Packers are going to win a Super Bowl, because Jordan Love coming onto his own, like, this whole team, like how it finished off, it didn't end real good for us with the 49ers. But that defense played better, and it's going to be a different defense. So I feel like the defense is going to be better anyways. Like, I think it's hard to make prediction like what this defense is going to be. But as far as like how good they're going to be, but let's pretend top 5. You know what I mean? No, but I feel like whenever a new defensive coordinator comes in, the whole defense gets amped up, and they kind of play above what they might have played with the excitement of a new defense. But I expect this offense just ball out. Got these young wide receivers, the young tight ends. Aaron Jones is going to be back. I feel like that this offense is just getting started, and I feel like they got to be so hungry. Like, look what we did. All right, now year 2, let's go get it. And Matt LaFleur kind of said that. No more excuses with this like age thing. They're probably still gonna be one of the younger teams in the league next year, maybe the youngest, but that doesn't matter. Like, they have that mindset of this is a Super Bowl team, and our expectations is a Super Bowl. I expect them to go out swinging and just balling. I got absolutely high hopes for this offense, and I think the defense is gonna play a lot better. Their window, like the Packers' window is always kind of open, but I feel like with this team, with Jordan Love's team, like it's just opening. It's kind of like last year's Lions. When not last year, but the year before, when they didn't make the playoffs, but they knocked the Packers out, and they kind of finished strong, and everyone's like, the Lions are coming. I feel like that's what it is with the Packers. I mean, not that they were gone very long, but like this Packers team is for real. They don't have to wait 4 or 5 years in like any type of rebuild. The Packers are here now, and I have full faith. I think because like look at the NFC teams, like the Packers lost to the Niners, but like then they weren't. There's no like big huge gap like the Packers got blown up. You watch a lot of the playoffs, like the Packers are right up there with all these playoff teams. There's no one in the NFC that is like, oh, the Packers can't compete with them. Like the Packers, they built this team good. It's young. They're only going to be better next year, I would assume, in offense too. Hopefully Christian Watson gets that hamstring thing figured out we don't have as many injuries because that hurt the Packers a lot. But I feel like this offense is just opening the floodgates right now.
Yeah. And they're like you and I have both said that the future is bright in Green Bay, and you kind of really articulated that well. I mean, what's there not to like?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think your point is not only that, but we don't give the Packers enough credit for kicking the crap out of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Right? And the Cowboys, they were legitimately good. And then everyone's like, oh, it's just the Cowboys failing again. No, it was Green Bay taking over, literally pounding them to the ground, not making it that they come even back. I didn't think it was like, and that's what the media has turned it out to be. It was like Dallas's failure. What about giving us some credit? Like I gave credit to the 49ers for beating us. Congratulations, well done. You know, you made it a Super Bowl. Good job. But why can't people do that for us? And I think that's kind of part of the hype that you and I are watching and going, we just beat the number 2 seed and it wasn't close.
Yeah, that's what really irritated me after that game because that's what it was. Everyone's like, oh, the Cowboys choked. The Cowboys gave it up. Like, no, the Cowboys got punched in the face by a better team. The Packers are better than the Cowboys. They prepared better. They were out-coached. They were outplayed. The Packers just they came to play. And, like, if the Packers play like that, I feel like there's no one that's going to beat them. Obviously, they're not going to have their best game every single game. But, like, you know that they can do that against – because, like, everyone was saying, like, after the oil, just the Cowboys. Well, everyone picked the Cowboys to win. Like, there was videos before that game, like, when people were, like, laughing about it. Like, even the broadcasters and just regular folk like us that were just, like, laughing about, oh, the Packers don't have a chance. They're not going to beat the Cowboys. And they go in there and absolutely beat the crap out of them. The Packers, if they can play like that, going into next year, there'll be a lot more games like that where they just torch people. I see people in the chat, dude. I'm telling Jordan Love MVP. When before the season started, I said within the first 3 years, Jordan Love is going to win MVP, and it might be I might have been too conservative. That's going to be a second year. You know what I mean?
Well, I was optimistic. Like I would be very happy if Jordan Love is a Pro Bowl quarterback. Like whether he's a Hall of Famer at the end of his career, it remains to be seen. And the whole MVP thing, like you got to have a lot of things go your way. And I'm totally cool. Like if that happens, trust me, you and I are going to be partying, just like pumped about that. And I don't mind that, but like in my opinion, Jordan Love got robbed of the Pro Bowl this year in his first year as a starter. Geno Smith, yeah, that's his name, right? Geno should not have gone to the Pro Bowl. It was absolutely garbage and a bunch of bull, if you ask me. So he's already there. Like he had the better numbers than Geno. He should have been a Pro Bowler this year. So if you have a Pro Bowl quarterback coming in your second year, like that's a good sign. That's a good thing,
Yeah, and like you mentioned, like with the Hall of Fame stuff, like people always say, like I'm saying, like I never say he's going to Hall of Fame. Like even with Rodgers and like Patrick Mahomes, they're talking about a lot sooner because he won all these Super Bowls. But usually, even like with Rodgers, he wasn't like his first year starting. Like he's a Hall of Famer. Like after a few years, they played and like, oh, looking like this player, is going that way. They get a Super Bowl and they got the numbers. People start talking about it, but like there's no point in talking about Jordan Love as a Hall of Famer. Like I've never mentioned it, but it's always in my comments. Like, oh, you think he's going to the Hall of Fame? Like I didn't say that. But now that now that you mention it, you maybe. But I think we'll see what year 2 brings. I really don't care about the Hall of Fame stuff because it's so early. It's stupid.
It is stupid. Okay, so
Andy, it's kind of silly that we talk about next year now, let alone what's going to happen in 15.
Yeah, exactly. So Andy comments on Facebook, and he's NFL Outdated, good friend of ours. Love Andy, love his work. I think everyone should go follow his NFL Outdated channel. But he's accusing you of being a homer. Okay, and by the way, side note, you and Dakota just pumped out a new shirt that actually says it's a Green Bay shirt that says Homer on it. And I love it.
Dude.
I think it's such a cool shirt. What do you say to people like Andy, like people who are saying, you're making this bold prediction. And you're like, he's just a homer. Like he's just biased. What would you say to them?
I say like I am because like I'm a Packer fan. Like I have no aspirations to like be like some, unbiased like ESPN type of dude. Like I'm just a Packer fan. I bought a camera and a mic and I talked about the Packers into it. But like I'm not trying to be like unbiased. Like I'm not trying to be biased either. I just what I think, but I'm a biased Packer fan. Like even like back in the day, like before I did podcasts or any of this stuff, I'd argue with people about the Packers, even though like, sometimes after I'm like, yeah, they're kind of right. But like I'm not gonna like tell you anything bad about my. I feel like that the Packers are like your family. Like I can make fun of my kid. I don't want you to. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like so like I'm not gonna. Just like I wouldn't trash my family publicly, I would never trash the Packers publicly. But like throughout since I've been doing this stuff, there's no reason. There's like a couple years in there where the Packers didn't have a chance. Otherwise, they always had a pretty good team, a good chance to do something. This last year, like I said, I wasn't anointing them champions. But after I see what they can do, like, all right, now I think we can. But like I'm definitely a homer. But I'm not trying to not be a homer. I just have fun with this. I think there's worse things to be called. I've been called worse things today.
Okay, so but in regards to Andy's comment here, Love is not going to get close to MVP. Andy, can I just respectfully say you can't make that statement. If you think it's outlandish for Matt to say that they're going to win the Super Bowl, it's outlandish for you to say Love's not going to get close to the MVP. I mean, now I think he's talking about this comment here about next season. It's possible. I don't know if he's going to get MVP next season, but what I'm saying is in his career, we can't predict, and maybe DCs will have more tape on him. Well, we'll have more tape on defenses too. So
yeah, and that's the thing. Like you say, people say I'm a homer because like I'll say the Packers are going to win a game, but then they say that they're going to lose. Like then what are you then? Like if you say the Packers are going to lose every game, and I say they're going to, pretty much, I wouldn't say win every game, but like every week, that's kind of my pick. But like if you're going the other way, then what's that make you? Like so, like both of us are not being realistic because a lot of people who call themselves realists, but it's just all negative. Like some people are realists, and that's fine. I have no problem with people don't have to agree with me. I think most people won't. But I don't know. I have no problem being called a homer, and it's for like people having more tape on Jordan Love, like that's kind of how it goes. But like they kind of knew to a certain degree what he was going to do anyways. They kind of like, if you look at Matt LaFleur's offense, you got a young quarterback. It's not going to be the same with Rodgers because Rodgers did all kind of change stuff around. But people know what Matt LaFleur's offense is. Like the coaches, like they know exactly what like that tree is trying to do. They have film and other people. Now they'll have it on Jordan Love how he runs it, but I don't think it would like they were like lost, like, oh, I can't believe that he did that. So I don't think that there's a lot to that. But like you say, Jordan Love, they're gonna have tape on him, but he also got that whole year of experience, another offseason under his belt. He's feeling confident going into this offseason. He's gonna be better prepared this year. He's not gonna have those hiccups early on. Obviously he's not gonna play perfect, but I think he's gonna come out strong.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now, here's the thing that no one's ever talking about. I believe was it Mahomes' rookie year? He threw like 50 touchdowns. It was either his first year or his second year, right? And then you can say, well, he's not going to do that again because they've got tape on him. Well, meanwhile, he's going and winning Super Bowls. So what I'm saying is, just because you have tape, there's something about when you have tape, and it's another thing about stopping the guy, right?
Yeah, and knowing how to stop him.
Yeah, and honestly, like I thought, like I wouldn't have been surprised if San Francisco beat us like we beat Dallas. Like I was saying, I was kind of preparing myself. I hope it's not a beat down. I hope it's not. Next thing you know, it's close. We miss a 41-yard field goal. We're right there. We could have tied it up. It could have happened. You know what I mean? And I'm just sitting there and watching it and going, the future's bright here, and I'm pumped. So here's the thing: when you talk about passionate and homer and all those kind of things, and then the haters, I feel like I'm in between. So I'm super passionate. Obviously, I wouldn't have a stinking channel if I wasn't, and all this gear and all this stuff, right? But I also have this tension of being a realistic fan. For example, this year, I predicted that we were going to be 9-8 and that we were going to be pushing for a wild card spot. I nailed that prediction, Matt. Like, I can't believe I did it. Like, not that. Actually, I can believe it. But you know where I failed? if you go and look at what weeks I thought we were going to lose and what weeks we were going to win, I almost was wrong every single week. And every week I wouldn't pick Green Bay to win because I'm like, no, I think we're going to lose this week. Because realistically, I'm like, I don't think we're going to win. We're going to be 17-0. I think there's going to be an up and down and the whole thing. So there's like, if I think we're going to be 9-8, that means we're going to lose 8 games. So I predicted which 8 games. Guess what? I thought we were going to lose to Detroit in Detroit. I thought we were going to lose to Kansas City, right? I thought we were going to lose week 1 to the Bears.
Yeah.
Right?
Because they won games that were the logical game that they would lose.
Yeah, like the Giants game we should have won, right, Matt? Like how did we lose to the Giants? Like it just made no sense. But the point being is because I'm realist and I'm passionate, I have these two tensions that continually collide in my head. And I'm like, I can't just go out. And so for me, middle of February, 2024, predicting 2025 Super Bowl, I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs and the reason why, and it's not because I don't like the Packers, I have bet against Brady most of my life, Matt. Most of my life. And I've been so wrong. I'm just tired of being wrong. And so I'm like, I until Kansas City proves something else, I think they're going to win another Super Bowl. They're going to three-peat. That's just my personal opinion right now.
Who do you think that
if we would have made the Super Bowl this year, we would have won, Matt? We've already beat them. We already beat them. It was we could have won the Super Bowl. Like we totally could have if we would have made it.
We could have, but when it comes to Super Bowl, like Andy Reid, like Patrick Mahomes, like the amount of experience that they have, I wouldn't. Because I see a lot of Packer fans like, well, we would have won a Super Bowl, which I believe that the Packers would have got past the Niners. It went on to go to the Super Bowl. I feel like they could have, but I think that with the amount of experience that Kansas City have, you can't just be like, yeah, they'd have won. Because Andy Reid, like they're good. They know, like in a Super Bowl, like the overtime rules. Niners, I don't care what they say, they didn't know what was going on. There's like you could hear the audio where they're like, I didn't know they get an extra possession, this and that. So I don't think the Packers, I would hope that they know the rules in that situation. But I'm just saying the Chiefs, they're so experienced. Like it's not like, oh, this is a big thing. We're in a Super Bowl. Like they've been there before. So I think it'll be battle. But I think the Packers. I hate to say like they would have won because they didn't. They didn't get there. But like next year, I think if the Packers get that far, I think it will be the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs or the Ravens are going to be those two teams over there. I really like Lamar, so I'm kind of for AFC wise, I'd like to see him actually get to a Super Bowl. But I want the Packers to beat them.
Right, exactly. So Andy says media is hyping up Packers as a top 4 in the league. And media is all over Green Bay's nuts right now. I mean, at the end of the day, the future's bright. I mean, why wouldn't people be on the train, right? I mean, this is not just like a franchise that's turned things around. It's been good for years and years and years.
Yeah, and people who watching it in the media can see, like, all right, they're on the right path. Like, even like Packer fans can see with the Lions. When the Lions were making those moves, hiring Campbell, and kind of like the moves that they're making, like they're doing the right things. And that's what the Packers are doing. Everyone can see it. Everyone's seen how they barely lost to the Niners. Like they're in the right position to go on a run. And so like, I don't see why I saw people complain the Cowboys were behind them. The Packers beat the crap out of the Cowboys at their house in the playoffs. So like they should be above them. I'm not sure who people think should be above. Like I could see like 5 or whatever. Cause I've seen like 4. I've seen like some people putting them back at 8. First of all, it doesn't matter. Like the power rankings in February, they don't really matter. But I think the Packers should be a top 5 team going in.
Yeah, and so like, okay, so when we look at the NFC, which teams really concern you? I mean, obviously the 49ers got to be there, right? But like, if we would have beaten the 49ers, did you think it was a given that we were going to beat Detroit in Detroit?
I think it would have been like a historical battle because like for 2024 now, and the Packers and the Lions in the playoffs. I think the Packers would have won. I think the Lions, I think that'd have been so crazy just because like the history of both these teams and the Lions like having to get past the Packers to go to the Super Bowl. And if they did, like, then they deserve that thing. But I think the Packers kind of would have let them know. Not yet. Get out of here.
Yeah,
You're
but
not here yet.
and you could see scenarios where we win against the 49ers and somehow we end up losing against Detroit because they're a solid team. But
Yeah.
because we just beat them in Detroit at Thanksgiving, it felt like we were going to continue that momentum. But I wouldn't have sat there and gone, if Detroit would have beaten us, I would have like, you know what? They beat us already once in the year, and then they beat.
I think it would have been close.
Yeah,
I think it would have been like I say, it would have been a battle for sure. The Detroit is not no slouch.
yeah, and really going into next season, Detroit is the real team in the NFC North that we have to like really contend with. We went 1-1 against them. I mean, the Bears had improved from a 3-win team to a 7-win team, and they might get even better after the draft. Who depends on what they do, but we still beat them twice, right?
Yeah.
Until they can beat us, I mean, we didn't even let them score a touchdown in the last game, right? But what do you think about like? Are you concerned about Minnesota and giving us trouble this next season?
I think it's just the Packers and the Lions. The Bears are dog water. Like, they're trash. Like you said, until they can prove that they can even beat the Packers. And they're just a mess. Like, they don't even know what they're going to do with the number 1 pick. Like, I'm sure they'll screw it up and I'm going to enjoy it. The Vikings don't scare me, but the Vikings also, like, they can step up. It really depends what they do at quarterback. I feel like if Kirk Cousins leaves, then they're a joke. They're not going to be contenders. I don't think they have a quarterback over there. Maybe I don't even know like exactly where they pick what they're going to do for quarterback. If Kirk Cousins is gone, I don't feel like the Vikings are in any conversation. And I think when he leaves, Justin Jefferson's probably going to have an attitude next year. He's probably going to be like Diggs out the door, and the Vikings will just continue in this circle of garbage. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So we would say Detroit is going to give us a run. We would say the 49ers are going to give us someone to be concerned about.
Yeah.
I still think we have Dallas's number. I don't know if there's anyone else. Okay, we lost to the Buccaneers and they made the playoffs during the regular season, so they'll probably be strong again. But
yeah, I think the Bucs will be similar what they were, and then 49ers. But like, yeah, the Cowboys, I think they're gonna have a good record, but they don't really scare me at all.
Yeah, no, for sure. Cool. Okay, so yeah, I mean, we're up there in the NFC. Like people are going to be. I think we're the team now. Like people are starting to fear, which is awesome to be a part of, right?
Yep. No matter what a lot of these people on TV have to say, the Packers are a team to fear. But like I say, like the 49ers, I expect them to be back, and that I want the Packers to beat the 49ers in the playoffs. Because I remember like years past, like in the 90s, that 96 Super Bowl. I think it was the Cowboys that the Packers couldn't get past. And then I think the Niners knocked them off. Like they got a little bit of help, but I want the Packers to be the team that knocks off the Niners. I don't want them to like lose the first game and the Packers got to kind of get a little, sidestep past and get a better matchup. I want them to beat the 49ers, knock them out of playoffs, and just let everyone know the Pack is back, baby. You know what I mean? Because like if you get someone else to beat them, and you kind of get lucky that way to go around them, like you want to go through them. That's a team that held you back so many years. You want to go through them and knock them out on your way.
Totally. And that's why I was so impressed by the Kansas City Chiefs this year, is because they knocked off the Dolphins, they knocked off the Bills, and then they knocked off the Ravens, who a lot of people have predicted to win the Super Bowl once the playoffs had started. And then they went and beat the best team in the NFC, which was the 49ers. And that was just an epic run. And that's kind of like people are like, oh, I don't want to play this team. My opinion, Matt, is in order to be the best, you have to beat the best. And I'm like, I don't want to. I think we're at a place where we shouldn't fear anyone at this stage. We're legitimately good. And that's why you're saying I can see the Packers, and not only see it, but you're saying they're going to win the Super Bowl next season. So it's wild, right? Like people are like, oh, these Homer fans. It's like, well, no, like there's actual facts from this.
Yeah, it's not just Packer fans that are saying. A lot of people are saying, and if you look at like when Aaron Rodgers won his Super Bowl, he got his first start 2008, 2010, he's winning a Super Bowl. Look at Patrick Mahomes. he got his start, and they kind of win that thing early on within the first 2 or 3 years for a lot of these quarterbacks. So Jordan Love, first 2 or 3 years, year 2 next year, I think that they can win it. I don't think it's gonna be like an easy thing, like, oh, they're just gonna walk through. People act like I'm like they're not far above, but they're gonna be in the mix. And why not the Packers? I feel like they can they can play as good as any of these teams, like especially in the NFC. I can see the Packers tearing up the 49ers next year in the playoffs.
Yeah. So I appreciate those comments, Matt. Now I want to throw this. I don't know if you want to get into this, so you just tell me no. But as you're talking and you're saying, "Hey, I'm just a guy who bought a microphone, have a camera. I'm a huge fan." And you've already talked about how like even the media gets it wrong. Like, and we're talking about former players like. This thing I watched with entertainment was Richard Sherman and Matt Ramage beef. And he went at you, right? And then you guys kind of did a little back and forth, but like, and I'm not trying to crap on Richard Sherman, okay? I'm not saying this, but he's played in the NFL. He's won a Super Bowl. He said we weren't going to be good, and he was wrong, right?
Yeah, he was wrong. And but he's actually good. I actually like Richard Sherman as an analyst, and that was cool because he said no one's gonna fear the Packers without Aaron Rodgers. They're not gonna be good. So I kind of like popped that video up. I'm like, you sure about that? After like Jordan Love had a good game and a win, and then he waited a couple weeks. Packers lost. He said, "Yup," and then we kind of like went back a couple times, but it was all respectful. But I actually like Richard Sherman. I know a lot of Packer fans hate him. I didn't like him in his playing days. But I feel like as an analyst, he's more fun because a lot of those guys, those analysts, I don't watch a lot of TV like ESPN and all that stuff. I mostly see the clips on social media, but a lot of them are just so boring. It's like, football. I want someone who's like gonna, get excited, yell a little bit, actually care. So I actually like Richard Sherman, but yeah, I was right this year and he was wrong. But that's just because I'm a homer,
right? And that's the thing. Like sometimes people like, and I appreciate I mean. I'm not saying that we know more than Richard Sherman, right?
No,
but what
no
I'm saying is like sometimes the eyeball test is a real thing. It's like, man, we look a lot better than we think, that people are giving us credit for, right?
And I think that like I am a biased Homer fan, but then I'm right a lot, so I get lucky that my team just does stuff right. So when I'm being biased and I'm saying, hey, this guy they drafted is going to be great, and then he ends up being great. I was a homer, but I was right. So like maybe you weren't so realistic after all. That's what I always say is realists who like say, I'm a realist. Jordan Love's gonna suck. Well, then you were wrong then. So like you weren't being a real. How is it real when you were wrong? How are realists wrong so much? That's one question I have. No, but I don't mind people being a realist. But like the word, it seems like you're just right all the time. But that being a realist doesn't mean you're right, because I just because I'm positive, I'm called a homer. But if I'm right, actually, I was a realist. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
I just hurt my own brain with that.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Packers' needs, because I do believe it's going to be kind of it's not going to be the same team, and no team is usually the same team as the year before. There's always some additions and those kind of things. But what are the areas of the team that you think that we'll need? Also, because it affects our drafting, but it also affects free agency. Now, I get it. Green Bay rarely goes after big free agents, but like, let me just start by saying, I don't think that we're going to draft or sign a wide receiver this year. I know, bold take.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah, I don't expect them to get any free agent that's a big name this season. I don't expect them. I mean, maybe something happens, but like I would doubt that any like big name, one of those big name free agents everyone's going to be yelling about. I don't think it's going to happen. For like the draft, I would assume that they're going to go heavy on defense, which is like not rare for them. But with switching like the new defensive scheme that they got going, I assume that there's they want to get some young guys that are going to grow through the defense, and that works for that scheme. But like I really have no idea, because I know like safety, like you think is Rudy Ford coming back, like kind of look at who do we think is going to come back before you can talk about like who they might draft. Plus, I'm not the draft guru. I don't know nothing about college. So like a lot of times when I hear guys get drafted, that's the first time I ever heard their name. I'm like, oh, that
Right.
guy's probably good. Might want to Google, but I I expect him to go more defense. But like you say, that's like every year, and like maybe they beef up a little bit of the offensive line. We'll see, like David Bakhtiari. A lot of people talking about. I don't know if that's a real story today. Whatever I saw on Twitter that they don't expect him back, but like I think that's a funny story because a lot of people already didn't expect him back. So like they didn't really say anything. I don't know if I know that it was like misquoted or whatever, but yeah. So what do you think that they're going to do in the draft?
Well, so I do think it depends on who we bring back at safety. And
Yeah.
so I have a feeling that we're going to bring Savage back at safety, just with the way he performed and produced, and as someone who they really believed in. That's why they drafted him. But I'm not sure. I'm not sold on Ford, and I'm not sold on Owens, even though I think Owens is probably a good dude, and I mean his wife is the best Olympian of all time. Other than that, like I don't like he had one great play where he take it to the house. Was it a fumble? Yeah, I think it was a fumble recovery. He took it to the
Yeah, he
house.
did something.
Yeah, so that was pretty fun, right? But I feel like we're gonna draft or get a free agent, which most likely means draft because we don't get free agents. I think safety is a place that we're gonna do. I think we always, and actually Seventh Letter, who's a Lions fan, great dude by the way. He just said y'all don't need it. O-line maybe, and I agree. O-line, it would be nice to get some more help on O-line. It's always good to protect Jordan Love. But I would also be really excited if we got another pass rusher because Preston Smith, as much as I love him and appreciate him, he is getting older, and I think we need to keep developing. And I'm not the biggest guy, and like I'm not like you, like I'm with you where I'm like I don't really know who's who, but my opinion is draft the guys from Georgia. They're the best defensive players. You know what I mean? Like we've kind of loaded ourselves with Quay Walker, with Wyatt, with different players from Georgia that I really thought played well for us. And so I'm kind of sitting there going a defensive guy, like more of a defensive end to help out Gary, and then a safety, and then what did I just say? I said someone else. Oh, O-line. So those are my three kind of things of need. And then depending on what we do with AJ Dillon, we might be drafting a running back sometime in the draft as well. That's something there as well.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with all that. Yeah, I mean, they got to do something at safety, offensive line. Like AJ Dillon is going to be a big decision for them, and I can see even if they like what they plan on doing with running back, even if AJ Dillon is back, do they stick with what they got? Do they draft someone and then see if they like him more? Like, because I don't think that this running back group, if it is together this year, this is it. I would assume, because I don't think AJ Dillon, like if they're gonna sign him long, you know what I mean? Like I'm not sure what they think, especially with Aaron Jones. Like how many years is he going to be there? I wouldn't want to make those decisions though.
Yeah,
really
I mean,
wouldn't.
a lot of people start thinking like we were going to go and try to get Derrick Henry because we were hoping that AJ Dillon was going to turn into Derrick Henry, right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, at this stage, he's not on the same path, but
No.
I think Henry made like $12 million last year, and you can't pay someone 10 or 12 million and pay Aaron Jones the same amount.
Yeah.
And you just can't have two of those, right? You have to spread the wealth around. So I'm wondering if we're going to bring AJ Dillon back at a cheaper rate and then just be really happy with that, or if we're going to draft a young kid and have Aaron Jones and this young guy go. I mean, Patrick is a solid running back. We've got Wilson,
yeah,
at running back as well. So it's not like we're in like desperate need, but we don't like it's hard to find guys like Derrick Henry, like Aaron Jones, and just fill in like Saquon Barkley. Like those guys are next level amazing players, right? So
that's kind of how it is with running backs. It's like you have those top tier, and like the bottom underneath them usually isn't like there's not a whole bunch of those guys out there.
Yeah,
I mean you have good backups, you have good rotational running backs, but like there's not a ton of like that top tier running back.
Yeah. And Seventh Letter also said y'all always need safety. That's true. That we seem to always need them. And then we also draft well. So I'm pretty confident in what Gutekunst can do.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about that at all.
Yeah, I think that's one bet you can make is that they draft a safety. No matter what they do with Savage and Ford and whoever else, they're definitely drafting a safety.
And I don't feel like we need to draft a safety in the first round. You can find great safeties in the second round. But I feel like one of those top spots we're going to be like, I thought we were going to go get Branch last year. In fact, that's who I was hoping to get. I think we went Musgrave instead. And I mean, I hope Musgrave turns out to be the guy that like he looks like Kelsey at times, and then he looks like an invisible ghost at other times. So I think he's going to progress, and I'm hoping that he lives up to the hype as well, because it looked like Laporta is the real deal. I'm hoping Musgrave's the real deal as well.
Yeah, I'm hoping him and Kraft. I like Kraft. Yes. I like his. I like everything about him, even like his off-season stuff. Like he's out there hunting, he's out there doing all types of cool stuff. I just he seems like the most hard work and just regular dude.
Yeah. So I'm with you, Matt. I think for team needs, like I'm looking forward to the draft. I'm gonna watch a bit of the combine, kind of look at it a little bit, see what I want to do. But like I'm gonna leave it to a lot of the experts. I mean Van Ness. He might even progress next year. He might become like if he becomes Clay Matthews, we hit the lottery, bro.
Well, like people look at it like with Rashawn Gary, he didn't hit right away, and everyone was all mad, like, oh, wasted pick, and all this. And now Rashawn Gary is legit. He's so like Van Ness, like we'll see like what happens in his second year. I think being around guys like Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith don't hurt guys who do it the right way. So I'd assume he's going to learn from them, and we'll see what he does this year. Maybe he's an absolute animal too. That I mean, he's made some plays, but he hasn't had all the opportunities yet.
Yeah. And the other thing about your prediction, which I don't think we talked enough about, is the change at defensive coordinator is, I think, is going to be a very significant and positive. You did mention that, but I'm saying is like, I think this guy is going to be a really great gem that we found, and he's going to make this defense legitimately solid because it is loaded with talent. So it'll be fun to see what happens there, Matt.
Oh yeah, and that's what I was saying is they have the players. I mean, like you mentioned, like the safety position, but like they got guys on this defense, and like you were talking about playing press, and they were saying like this defense is going to make good corners great. Like if that's true, then Jair Alexander, who knows, he's going to be one of the we talked about as the best corner in the league if that scheme really does help him like that. I don't know enough about defensive schemes to start breaking down, telling you how great it's going to be, but I do like what I'm hearing. Like they're going to play some press. They're going to, I think he said he likes the blitz out of press. So basically he plays defense like I do on Madden. You know what I mean?
Right.
So hopefully a little bit better than I do, because I suck.
Yeah, no. A fun fact, Matt. I used to be a Madden streamer, and I was making my way up, man. I was getting my name was getting out there. So back in the day, I was pretty good. So
I was decent, but not for online. Like you think you're good till you bounce online. Like because I played since the 90s. Like I started playing like Tecmo Bowl way back in the day, and I played Madden every year. And then when the internet kind of popped up, I'm like, oh, you can play online now. I was like, oh, I'll play online. I just got destroyed every time. I'm like, oh, I'm not good. I thought I was.
Some really good players, Matt, and like I didn't win those games, but I was in the games. You know what I mean? So but I think it was more like I'm a pretty good entertainer. I'm a good content creator. I think that's how I was getting up there. But anyways, trying my best.
Whenever I played, I streamed online Madden a few times, and people made fun of me.
Okay,
like, so this guy, that's how he plays. Oh, he doesn't know anything.
Right. I don't want to take your whole day, but I really appreciate your time. And I just want people to be reminded, you need to follow Matt Ramage on all of his social platforms. He produces incredible content. And so make sure you follow him. But I have one last question for everyone here, and especially for you, is what did you think about the Super Bowl? Because you've kind of like taken a break. I mean, the doing NFL content is a huge grind. It's a lot of work. People have no idea what in graphics, editing, the whole thing. You do it all, Matt, and but you haven't really talked a lot about the Super Bowl. So I'd love to hear, what did you think about the 49ers, Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, my thing is like the 49ers, like how they got there, how they won is how they lost. Like they beat the Packers, close game, kind of Packers had a chance, kind of gave it away. Lions definitely, going for it on fourth down, gave it away. Niners win, which the Niners, again, props, they won. So I'm not like saying that they shouldn't have been there. But then in the Super Bowl, how they got there is kind of just being that, not making more mistakes than the other team, letting the other team lose it. But in the Super Bowl, they kind of did that to themselves, kind of let them back in it. And then that overtime, like no one really knows the rules. And now they say, well, we knew, but half the team, like they got them mic'd up saying that they don't know the rules. So the Niners really, I wouldn't say that they gave it away, but they didn't help themselves the same way that the Packers and the Lions didn't help themselves. I was happy with it. I know people are telling me I'm not supposed to root for the Chiefs, but I am not rooting for the Niners to win a Super Bowl ever in the history. I root for pretty much AFC team every single year, unless it's obviously the Packers. I don't want people like, you're supposed to root for your conference. Like, no, I don't want anyone stacking Super Bowl rings over at NFC. They can keep them over there in the AFC until the Packers time to get in there. But I thought it was a good Super Bowl. Started slow. The end of the game was wild. It was exciting. Like, 'cause I was rooting for the Chiefs, but not like I was rooting for them, like how you root for the Packers. I was just like, if the Chiefs would have lost, I'd have been like, all right, whatever, turn off my TV. I guess I can't say it. And now I just can't respond 1994 whenever a Niners fan talks. But that's the only reason, because all we got on them, 49ers fans talk trash and say we own the Packers. There's not much you can say, because come playoff time, the Packers have been, that's who's been doing it, the 49ers. Yeah. But at least you can say, well, you haven't won a Super Bowl. So, but yeah, I thought it was an entertaining Super Bowl. I know a lot of people didn't like it because, both these teams. That's why when people talk about it being scripted, I think that they could get better ideas if they were going to do that.
Exactly. So I was with you. I was cheering for the Kansas City Chiefs, but I was kind of like that. Well, if they do, cool. If they don't, no big deal. It wasn't like I was into it like, we are with our Packers. But I just had a feeling that Mahomes was going to be the difference. And then, because, it's Purdy versus Mahomes there in that position. But, I thought, Matt, the two things to me that really, I thought the 49ers should have won that Super Bowl the way they were playing. But when they stopped running the ball to McCaffrey in the third quarter, I just thought, I don't know who's planning that. That's awful. Well,
that's kind of like that happened with the Packers too, where like Aaron Jones is going, then it kind of just go away. I don't know if it's hard to stick to what's getting you going, but that they did the same thing.
Yeah, so that's what I think that, and then just not only the Mahomes piece where he's throwing. Did you know that he rushed the ball for 66 yards?
Yeah, he had, because I think I had some bets on that. I think I might have won some money on his rushing yards.
So he was the highest leading rusher on his team. Pacheco, who's a really good running back, had 59 yards, and Mahomes had 66. And it's like, wow, those are kind of those backbreaker moments that he did against the 49ers that, like, how did you guys fail in that moment? You know what I mean? Because he's
like they do everything right. Yeah, and then you just let them scamper. That's what drives me nuts about defense. Is like everyone's covered, you're doing everything perfect, but then the quarterback just runs for like 25 yards. It's like brutal. Yeah, but you love to see it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Matt. Where can people find you on your social media, and what's the tags there?
I'm on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere that you can imagine someone puts content. But you can find my links at themattramage.com, or else just search my name, Matt Ramage. But I have a website, themattramage.com, all my social media, my podcasts, YouTube, all that stuff.
That's awesome, man. And like I said, you got to check out his stuff. He's the real deal. He's not only a super fan, but he pumps out hilarious and good content. I think some of my favorite ones is about the eyes. Those ones, those man, they make me laugh so much. But I also really liked being when you're at the games. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. You're 4-0 this year at games, right?
Yeah, dude. I've actually had a pretty good record the last like 3 years. I think I was 4-0 the year, not the year before, but the year before that. So I think I'm well over 500. I mean, I wouldn't say I am. They are when I'm there. But
right.
They don't lose much when I'm at the game.
So this is just this is the case, everyone. Somehow we got to get Matt season tickets. Just saying, he is their lucky charm. They see him in the stands and they play better for him, you know. So I think someone needs to get you season tickets, Matt.
Yeah, I think this next year I might not go to as many because I'm liking the live stream thing I do during the game. So I might try to do more of that this year. But I'll probably still get to like 3 or 4 games. Probably 3 for sure. I like to do like a Bears and Vikings game and then like some random one.
Yeah.
But I like to see the Bears and Vikings get embarrassed at Lambeau.
So Matt, I've got a big milestone birthday coming up. And one of my things on my list is I want to go to a Packers game. So I don't know if it's going to be this year or next year, but I was thinking about it and I'm thinking I would love to connect with you if I fly into Wisconsin and go to my first ever Lambeau Field experience. So let's try to plan that, just to, even if we do like a lunch together or we go to the game together or whatever. I would love to meet you in person because it's been really great connecting this way. But I've been thinking about you. I'm like, man, for this birthday, and I'm hoping to go to Lambeau. I'd love to connect with you in real life.
Yeah, for sure. We can definitely figure something out.
Yeah. I mean, it's not for a while, so we won't plan it today on the podcast, but and just because we're Packers fans, good dude that follows my stuff, Jason Toppy, he says that we all know who owns the Bears. There's a new dad, Jordan Love. The Bears still suck, even in the offseason.
Yes, sir.
But just a reminder, Jason, I'm the one who made that graphic of it. Said Jordan Love is the Bears' stepdad because, Rodgers was his daddy, and this is the new stepdad. And so I made that graphic. I wanted it to go viral, and it's just a fact. He's 2-0 already against the Bears. Just saying. Yeah,
it just like it's funny because like I was saying that people were giving him crap because early on Jordan Love was struggling. I was like, but he played lights out against the Bears. So what's that say about them? Like, doesn't matter.
Exactly. Well, thanks everyone for stopping by today. What my outro is just this really replay of the season, so you want to definitely watch it. But I do want to thank you, Matt, for being here, and I really appreciate just the season and connecting with you. I've had a blast connecting with you. I think you're a great dude.
I appreciate it. Always fun chatting with you, man.
Oh, thanks. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Okay, have a great day, and like we always say, go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.
Oh.
Oh,
Yes! Yes! Woo-hoo-hoo!
Green Bay, represent. There we go.